Perth Model Railway Show was held on the 25th-26th of June 2022 at the Jewers Centre in Perth. As ever, it proved to be a very popular event, attracting large crowds. BRIDGWATER S&D JR, modelled in O gauge and exhibited by Trevor Gibson. The line from Bridgewater to Eddington was opened on the 21st of July 1890, built by an independent company, the Bridgewater Railway Company. The station building was built of local brick and had the appearance of an LSWR design. The goods yard, complete with shed, had facilities to handle many commodities including coal, bricks, tiles and livestock. A single road engine shed of brick construction was also built, together with a 50-foot turntable. The shed, although extended in 1898 to accommodate 2 locomotives, was not used to stable locomotives overnight. Up until 1942 there was a 1,056-yard extension from the cattle dock that swung through 180 degrees to provide access to the brickworks and wharf facility and the east bank of the River Parrett. The layout is set in the Edwardian period of 1904, with all the stock being modified kit or scratch-built items representative of the glorious Prussian blue days of the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway. The buildings and structures are accurate models of the prototypes, built from drawings and photographs, and are scratch-built from laser-cut NBF and plasticard. Operations are to a sequence representing in compressed form a typical day's working on the branch during the golden age of the S&D JR. Bridgewater features as Railway of the Month in Railway Modeller in October and November 2019. St MARNOCK engine shed, modelled in O gauge and exhibited by Mike Bissett. St MARNOCK engine shed depicts a typical Glasgow and South Western Railway depot, providing servicing facilities for locomotives using the Anglo-Scottish route through Kilmarnock. It features the distinctive Galloway architecture, so reminiscent of the sheds in Ayr, Hurlford and Dumfries. Unusually for a small depot, it has a 70-foot turntable capable of handling the largest express locomotives. St MARNOCK engine shed is DCC controlled and all the locomotives are sound fitted, with some having smoke units. Williamson River, modelled in HO gauge and exhibited by Cooper and District Model Railway Club. The layout represents a small industrial line somewhere in British Columbia, Canada, featuring a small terminus station where Bud rail cars take passengers to work. The line has mixed freight services from both Canadian National and Canadian Pacific. A small fuel terminal receives fuel tankers thanks to its track access. Cut lumber is delivered to the timber yard by truck and departs in mixed freight cars. The larger industrial building receives and dispatches multiple boxcars. We purchased the layout in 2017 as we needed a small layout that could be transported by car to exhibitions. It was named in memory of club member and former chairman Gregor Williamson. As Gregor had an interest in Canadian railways, we run mostly Canadian Pacific and Canadian National Railroad locos and freight cars, although you will see stock from other railroads all over North America. The club has decided to keep the layout on a longer term, and it has recently been completely refurbished. This has included building a complete new board, replacing 2 individual sections, a full rewire and some new scenery, along with a general overhaul of the layout. Back to Black, a vintage tinplate railway, exhibited by Dale Smith. This is a return to the black loco theme of earlier years, showing a range of stock not previously seen on the layout. In particular, look out for 6 different black 5s, including the only 4 original named, all Scottish, and a unique loco with a Perth number. A selection of other large black locos will pull 1930s to 1950s period coach rakes and long goods trains. Second-hand yard, modelled in O gauge and exhibited by Ari Dodd. My second exhibition switching layout, the second yard, is single-ended and situated to the east of the city of Hopeville. The scene is set for late 60s through to early 80s. This allows for a good variety of locomotives and freight car types. It provides services to the following: farm animal foods, general team track, home heating oil, steel construction company, fresh and frozen food company, and paint and varnish supply, plus an off-scene coal and scrap merchants. As the title implies, this layout is constructed from mostly recycled material, from the timber legs and plywood base to the buildings and track, removed from my previous layout, Western Avenue. The layout is DCC controlled, with most locomotives sound fitted. It makes use of a sector plate, not hidden, to save space, and it was built at a height for easy viewing by children and wheelchair users. BELHAVEN Brewery, modelled in double O gauge and exhibited by Graham Crawford. BELHAVEN Brewery was inspired by the knowledge that in the days of steam, just outside Dunbar, near the actual BELHAVEN Brewery, was a maltings run by Lothian Maltings, which was rail served. There were 2 exchange sidings where wagons would be dropped off to be taken into the maltings by a Barclay 040 shunter, number 1773, owned by Lothian Maltings. This 12-foot by 2-foot layout, operated from the front or back, is very simple, with a turntable fiddle yard at one end, thence to a first set of points leading to 2 exchange sidings to the left, followed by a point leading to a wayside halt platform on the right. Straight ahead leads through an archway under the main office building to the brewery itself. In the brewery there are 3 loading-unloading platforms, plus a covered area concealing the pit in which the grain is deposited from the grain wagons for malting. There is 1 siding where coal is offloaded for the boilers, plus a kickback siding to a small shed for the Barclay shunter. In the course of a normal day you will see the Barclay shunter, a J83 and a J36 on trip workings, plus a Sentinel railcar bringing workers to the halt and residents of the small community that has grown up nearby. You may even see an N2 on mineral wagon duties. The layout is DCC and all locos are sound equipped. Wellpark, modelled in double O gauge and exhibited by the Scottish Diesel and Electric Group. Wellpark is not a real station. We have borrowed the name from another famous Glasgow landmark, that of the Tennant's Brewery of the same name. Rather than anywhere specific, we have tried to capture the essence of many electrified suburban lines that crisscross Glasgow. Much of the rail infrastructure in the area seems to be below street level, so we have kept the layout level subsurface. Widespread use of 3D printing and scratch building of both buildings and railway infrastructure was deemed necessary to create a less off-the-peg feel. The footbridge, station steps, cable trunking and much of the brewery have been 3D printed. Track work is Pico Code 75 with scale spacing of sleepers, and the grain coal yard at the brewery is the new Pico Bullhead. We have used Cobalt digital point motors and have built a clever DCC failsafe into the wiring. Signals are by CR Signals, and Paul has built us a couple of specials which include the dolly on a post for entry into the brewery siding. Lens DCC control and an interface for touch cab are used to control trains and signals, though we are moving to a full control panel and interlock signalling very soon. Operationally, you will see a procession of 303 EMUs, synonymous with Glasgow and the pressed steel plant at Linwood. Other EMUs and DMUs provide additional local services. Not being tied to a location, we can play a little fast and loose with freight and passenger workings. The EMU fleet is mainly a DC kits-based 303 fleet. These are all powered by Replica's excellent chassis. All locos are suitably fiddled with, renumbered, detailed and of course weathered for an authentic Eastfield look. Sound is mainly Legoman Biffo but all supplies feature. The rolling stock comes from all proprietary sources and includes a number of scratch-built specials. Museum of Transport, modelled in 00 gauge and exhibited by Robin Brogden. This layout consists of a fictitious Museum of Transport situated in the regenerated former dockland of an English town. Railway exhibits are housed in a purpose-built railway gallery. The concept was born from a desire to create a layout where virtually all types of model may be displayed together with a single theme. There are standard gauge and miniature railways, buses, trams, trolleybuses, cars and commercial vehicles, as well as aircraft and maritime displays. The layout is full of varied examples of industrial archaeology and items to appeal to everyone, whether a model maker or simply those fascinated by old transport and related topics. 4mm electric tramcars operate on a double track around part of the layout. That also includes the road gallery, housing an extensive collection of classic motor vehicles, and the tramway depot. A miniature railway based on N gauge operates around this area and beyond. A diesel rail car operates to and from the engine shed along the dockside line, crossing over the 2 branch docks by a bascule bridge and then a swing bridge. In the first dock is moored a freelance Edwardian passenger steamer St. Olaf and a retired coastal lightship based on the Spurn Light. A second deep water dock featuring additional maritime exhibits include the steam paddle driven tug PS Eric Cope and the restored Clyde puffer Connie. A canal basin is included in this area with working narrowboats. A green area features bandstand, displays of visiting vintage vehicles, a hot air balloon and a child's play area. The locomotive shed is the operational base for the standard gauge exhibits and visiting locos. The line from the engine shed runs the entire length of the layout and is operated by DCC, with many of the locomotives featuring digital sound. A larger miniature N-gauge railway operates in this area. The dry dock is the home of a model of the Isles of Scilly Steamship Company's former passenger vessel RMS Silonian II. The front part of the layout offers an area available for varied displays, bush rallies, military vehicle displays, car rallies, etc., and is dominated by our ex-RAF Lancaster bomber, which performs regular power-up demonstrations with sound. The main station for the miniature railway is located here. A visiting brass band plays a selection of melodies throughout the exhibitions.